Hi guys, welcome. Today we are talking about the Built for Athletes backpack. Most specifically, this one, the 45 litre version. I've had this for about 6 months and it's been with me on all my adventures thus far, and it'll be going on all my adventures in the coming years. Most recently it was Hyrox Glasgow, before that Hyrox Manchester, before that Hyrox Birmingham. And in the coming months it will be going to all of the Spartan trifectas up and down the country. Now, it is a great piece of equipment. All the right compartments, all the right buckles, ruggedization, tactical look, the whole thing is brilliant. But your eye is drawn to one thing when you see these walking about at events, and that is the customizable Velcro section at the top. If you've ever done a Hyrox, you know you get a patch. And the Velcro is the sort of the hook version to the hoop, which is on the back, and you can just stick them all over this top bit. Now the problem comes with real estate. This Velcro compartment just isn't big enough. It probably fits 4, maybe 4.5 of the new square rectangle Hyrox patches. The problem is when you buy these backpacks, they've got a whole range of patches that you can buy, all sorts of witty puns and straight to the point gym mottos and things like that. But when you then start earning them and buying them, you soon realise that you run out of space real quick, and you can only ever have 2, 3, 4 at a push on this particular bit. So it got me thinking, what can I do about it? And like a lot of things with me, thinking about things turns into buying things, planning and preparation for doing something. So today we are going to try to modify this backpack to have more Velcro on it. And it will involve making permanent changes to this backpack. And I've never done it before, and probably will never do it again. But I bought the correct equipment to make it so. I have some additional Velcro, and I have some little pop stud things and a piercing device. Anyway, without any further ado, we are going to start to figure out how to get it on. Hopefully, by the end of this video, once it's edited down, I will have a sort of step-by-step guide how to hack the Built for Athletes backpacks to have more patches on. Imagine this whole space here being able to take patches just like this. How fantastic would that be? Very, make all your friends very envious, wouldn't it? Anyway, let's crack on. So, on the outward facing part of most of the Built for Athlete backpacks are roughly the same. They have the top compartment which has the Velcro section on, and this bottom section, the slightly bigger pocket, has this sort of webbing. You can get your fingers sort of underneath it and stuff like that. And so what we are going to be doing is attaching some of the hoop side of Velcro to this, hopefully to cover most of this bottom compartment. Now I'm not just going to stick it on, I'd hope for a more permanent solution. The more permanent, that means I've got to sort of attach it. Now I could do it sort of ad hoc and not damage the backpack and use zip ties and things like that, but I kind of wanted a bit of finesse to the equation, to the solution really. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be attempting to attach the hoop side, in fact cover most of this webbing, which I don't use for anything, with a solid sheet of hoop Velcro. So that's the plan. How I actually implement it is something else. So we have a hammer, makes sense, right? I have one sheet, just one sheet of Velcro, and if you look, if I make it like this, horizontal, it will cover most of that webbing quite comfortably. Now I do need to trim it down and make sure it's fit for purpose, so that's what we'll do first, trimming this down. So the backpack can actually just stay there a second while I actually measure. So I need it to go from one side of the webbing to the other. But this will invalidate any warranties that you have with Built for Athlete. In fact, one day they may choose to incorporate this into the design, because I suspect I won't be the only person out there that want to do this particular kind of modification. So we don't need the actual backpack for the moment. So the next stage is to cut Velcro as neatly as possible, and that's what we're going to do now. So this is my sheet of Velcro. This was £6 on eBay. It is self-adhesive, so I bought 2 of these and my other one is on the wall in home. So when I have got patches off bag, that's where they'll live. But for this one, this is the one that I am going to be cutting today. So all I need to do is reduce it down from the A4 sheet, sort of down to where I nicked it, just here. It's clearly not square, Martin. But I'll make it square with this cut. Right. So hopefully this blade will just slice through this. It's a paper cutter, so of course I'm going to be putting it through some Velcro. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. Right, here we go. Oh, amazing. Now we have our square that's going to go on the backpack. What I am going to do, I am going to just take the very corners, and I'm going to be just taking just the very corners. Now it is self-adhesive. You pull that off and it is quite sticky. The one on the wall is really on there good, but I'm choosing not to take the sticky off because even though I'm going to be attaching it with something else, I don't like the idea of it pulling away and making that sort of sticky noise as I move it about. So right, so how are we going to be attaching this to the actual bag? Well, I'm going to be using one of these, and I'm going to be using the black sort of clothing rivets like this. So sort of little tiny things that go through and sort of trap like the fasteners you have on your jeans. You see them used in most jeans. So yeah, and inside here is the little basher that I'll be using to flatten them out, make sure that they're pinching the materials together. And this cost about a tenner on Amazon. So really that's sort of it's about a 16 quid purchase for the sheet and the tools. Everything else you probably have at home. Right. So we now have our sheet, and it's going to be positioned here like this. So just this square, and we are going to be fastening it with these little rivets. And I'm going to fasten it from the top down to the bottom, and I'm going to put four across the top, 4 in the middle and 4 across the bottom. Maybe more as I go, depending on how hard or easy it is to get done. Now I'm going to have to be hammering these little rivets closed so that they pinch the materials together, which means I'm going to have to use a hammer, but the bag's quite soft, so I'm going to need some help from Joe Wicks. This is about the most useful thing he's done since lockdown, so I'm going to open up this compartment and pad it out with something a little firmer, so it will give me the feedback I need when hammering. These books have probably never ever been used for anything, including making meals, since we're grown-ups and we can just make our own food anyway. Right, so before we go any further, we need to decide on which of these little rivet things I'm going to be using. Now, bearing in mind I'm only going through a small amount of fabric, I will not need the massive ones. So I think maybe these dinky ones here. So I'm going to do one, see how it sort of see how it is, and go from there. So now, before I start, this is where the irreversible bit comes in. Now this little fella is what will puncture a hole that allows these rivets to pass through, and at worst all it's going to do is puncture a hole into some of this webbing. It's not the end of the world, the backpack will still work 100% as a backpack. Worst case scenario, I can stick a carabiner through the hole and make it look like I've done it on purpose. So this is the ladder. Hopefully it's strong enough to get through this ruggedized webbing. It is just material at the end of the day, it's not Kevlar or anything, so fingers crossed. Right, so assuming that I don't mess this up straight out the gate, the general premise is get it lined up, make sure it's good on the width as it is the height, and then you literally just feed this little chomper into here like this, roughly where you want it. Apply an enormous amount of pressure, it turns out. See, now what I've gone and done is bent the doohickey. If nothing tells you more about this backpack than the fact that it can withstand a hole punch. Cheap one that I bought from. Okay, so we might just have to revert to good old-fashioned Stanley knife. No one ever cut themselves on a Stanley knife, did they? Okay, so without any further ado, it's time to get this through this hole. Now so it's gone through there okay. If you can see, you see that? And what you do is put the lid on it, like so, like that, clicks. And what we do is we get this little metal doohickey, and this is the bit I hadn't really thought through. So this is where the buck comes into use, and I just go what I should probably do is take my skipper chalk bag out, or even a little bit more firmness underneath. It's okay, I've got plenty more Joe Wicks books. There's the sustain plan. Thanks, Joe. Give me be careful you don't lose the back plate thing. So that's the hard work done. Now let's have a little look at what it looks like. Before I go any further, I'd like to take a moment to thank Joe Wicks, as without his books I would not have had the firmness to smash these rivets into my bag. So thank you very much, Joe, couldn't have done it without you. So here is the finished product. Now I've never done this before, and it is not millimetre perfect, it's not perfectly level. However, I now have a piece of Velcro firmly attached to the bottom of my bag. So let's have a look what it looks like straight out the gate. How would I load this bag up if I was going somewhere? Well, I would put my name on, just in case it gets lost or I can't find my wife. I stick the athlete's one there just underneath it as sort of a header to the whole thing. Then I would say, right, well, now down here, this can be my little trophy wall. I can have Birmingham. I can have Manchester. I can have Glasgow. And any sort of indiscrepancies with my rivet orientation sort of hidden quite quickly. And then I've got plenty of space for the sort of ones from Built for Athletes themselves. So I've got hard work pays off, and I've got a Union Jack, also quite important, and then some of these sort of little ones, still got space for those too. So let's have train hard, no excuses, right down there at the bottom. Now look at that. Bloody brilliant. If that's all I get achieved today, that's a result for me. That is that's kind of what I imagined it to look like in my brain when I was thinking of this idea. And for the sake of maybe 15 quid, what I can say, you don't need to buy the ones with the hole punch, because the bag fought back and the amount of force required to actually punch a hole through it bent the pliers. So all you would need is a small set of these, which you can get for less than a tenner, and all you need is a hammer, a Stanley knife and a pair of scissors. The actual sheet itself is £6 from eBay. If you want to know which particular seller, just pop me a message or whatever. I might find the link out and stick it in the description below. And that is it. Built for Athletes patch hack. I can't wait to show this off at my next event, which is at the end of April, and that'll be a Spartan trifecta, and I will be obviously the envy of all those other people with Built for Athletes bags. Now obviously, if Built for Athletes ever get to watch something like this, listen to what your customer's saying, because this is what they want, more space for their patches. So I would expect a model of bag in the not too distant future to come out completely covered in Velcro to accommodate all these patches for people. Anyway, that's how to hack your bag. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time. If you're just passing through the channel, please give it a subscribe. Thank you. See you later. Bye out.